Ansu Fati once was one of the biggest wonder kids. He broke into Barcelona's first team with no fear and scored 8 goals in his debut season. However, he then had a series of injuries and his career went downhill. In an attempt to revive it, Barcelona sent their wonder kid on loans to Brighton in 2023 and just a couple weeks ago to Monaco. This brings a question. Can Ansu Fati still find his way to the top, or is he going to become yet another wonder kid who couldn't fulfill his potential? In this video, I am going to become Ansu Fati's agent in an attempt to save his career. We have a very simple goal: to make Ansu Fati win the UEFA Champions League, and there is a bonus, a Ballon d'Or. This is our starting point in 2025. Ansu Fati has 146 points of current ability on a scale of 200. This would make him one of the starters in Crystal Palace or West Ham, or one of the stars of AS Monaco. But that's not the level we have been promised 5 years ago. However, Ansu also has 180 points of potential ability, which would place him as one of the 15 best players in the world. And we want to fulfill his talent. Except we already have a setback. Ansu is injured and will miss out on the entire preseason. This will make our start a tad more difficult, but we have a way of countering that. To help our client fulfill his ambition of winning the Champions League and the Ballon d'Or, we will set a goal for Ansu before each season. If he fulfills it, he will get 5 bonus points to his attributes. Monaco is predicted to finish the new Ligue 1 season on the podium, and Ansu Fati is considered the team's key player by the media. We can't do much in terms of a potential move now, so I'm saying that 15 goal contributions in all competitions is a target our client can reach. Ansu Fati only returned from an injury at the end of August and scored his first 2 goals in late September against Paris FC. Ansu also scored the winning goal against Paris Saint-Germain nearing the end of the Ligue 1 season, but the team from the capital was way too strong overall and absolutely dominated the league. Monaco finished third, with Rennes also overtaking Ansu's team. In Europe, Monaco qualified to the knockout playoffs and there was eliminated by PSV Eindhoven in the penalty shootout. Ansu's sole highlight in Europe this season was a brace against Dinamo Zagreb in the league stage. This didn't stop our man from developing though. His current ability increased to 156, and what's more, we set a target of 15 goal contributions for our player before the season, and Ansu got 16, so I could give him 5 attribute points. 2 of them went to stamina, 2 to natural fitness, and 1 to crossing. With that, Ansu is now rated at 159, which should make him one of the regular starters in Barcelona, a place he's just returning to. And I think it's time to raise the target now. 25 goal contributions should be challenging, but within reach. Ansu Fati became Barcelona's regular starter and contributed to 23 goals this season. Not enough for bonus attribute points, and also not enough for Barcelona to win La Liga, where the team lost to Real Madrid, nor the Champions League, where Blaugrana was stopped by Arsenal in the semi-final. At least, Ansu won his first trophy of this video, the Spanish Super Cup. Ansu's highlight of this season definitely is a winning goal against Valencia, a brace against Celta Vigo, or 4 goals scored against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League stage. Few minor injuries throughout the season did not stop Ansu Fati from developing to 165 points of current ability. This puts Ansu as a top 100 player in the world, and a starting striker for Barcelona. With that in mind, I want to keep the target of 25 goal contributions for the next season. Barcelona finished second in the league, but this time they were only 4 points behind Real Madrid. The club also had no chance in the Champions League, as Milan knocked Barcelona out in the knockout playoff round. However, this was Ansu Fati's time to shine. He contributed a total of 20 goals and 10 assists, enough to guarantee an attribute boost. 19 La Liga goals also placed Ansu as the 6th top scorer. Ansu's personal highlights are a perfect game against Real Betis, a brace in a 6-1 thrashing of Atletico Madrid, and a hat-trick against Rayo Vallecano. After the season, I added 2 points to pace and finishing and 1 to passing. With the bonus, Ansu has now 175 points of current ability, which places him on the brink of the Ballon d'Or nomination. However, he's not a part of the Spanish national team for the Euro 2028, despite the fact Ansu would be its 6th best player. And he isn't even injured. Spain finished the tournament with a 1-0 loss to Germany in the round of 16. I do not want to force a move away from Barcelona for Ansu right now. He's one of the stars of the team, has a long-term contract, and Robert Lewandowski is about to retire. He scored 23 goals by the way. But Ansu needs to win a major trophy with Barcelona in the upcoming season, and that's the target I set for him if he wants to get his attribute bonus. If he fails, we might want to start to look for a new club. Individually, Ansu had a brilliant season. He scored 29 goals and got 12 assists in all competitions, only trailing Kylian Mbappe and Julian Alvarez in the La Liga top scorer race. Despite Ansu's brilliance, it wasn't enough for even a second place with Barcelona in the league. The Champions League campaign also wasn't great, as Barcelona got knocked out by PSG in the quarterfinals. At least, Fati had his own moment of brilliance in the round of 16, as he scored a hat-trick against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. And with Barcelona, he won a major trophy. To be exact, the Copa del Rey against Real Madrid. This is enough for an attribute boost. I gave Ansu 1 point to acceleration, 3 points to teamwork and 1 point to his passing, raising his current ability to 177. With another deal, this time lasting until 2023, Fati's asking price lies at 186 million euros. I don't think it's a good idea to move him, especially with an upcoming Club World Cup. If Blaugrana go further, we will see a clear sign that this unsuccessful league season was just an accident and that Ansu should stay. In the new season, I want Ansu to keep up his great form, and you guessed it, win a major trophy again, but this time, the Copa del Rey does not count. Ansu's 5th season was nowhere near as good as the last one, with only 12 goals in all competitions. That led Barcelona to a 2nd place in the league, as Real Madrid keeps winning it, and this time, they went invincible. The Champions League campaign also wasn't successful. Barcelona got knocked out by Nice in the knockout playoff. Heck, even Anderlecht from Belgium had a better season. Barcelona at least won the Spanish Cup in extra time against Sociedad, but that's all they can achieve now. Therefore, I think it's the right time to move Ansu away from Barcelona. This club is simply not giving our client a chance to lift Europe's most prestigious trophy. Lamine Yamal already saw the writing on the wall and moved to PSG before this season, and he instantly went to the Champions League final, in which he scored an equalizer and won the whole thing. We're about to find out where we'll make Ansu move, but only after the World Cup. But first, is Ansu even in the Spanish national team? I don't know what's going on. With 177 points of current ability, he would be Spain's 5th best player, and he's not in the squad. So, he missed out on a 4th place, and Ireland winning the whole thing. But now, we're looking for a new club. Fast forward a month, and Ansu Fati's asking price is set at 190 million euros. This asking price is a hidden attribute of sorts, and it shows how much the player's current club wants to sell him for. We'll use this to set the price paid by the next team. But how many clubs can even afford Ansu? Real Madrid, who got to the Champions League semi-final twice in this save, can pay it, but Ansu won't move there for obvious reasons, and he would be a substitute at best there. We want to make Ansu at least a regular starter in his new team. Manchester City, who won in 2028, can also secure the deal, just like Bayern, who went to 2 finals. And Arsenal, 2027 winners, can also just pay the price, and we'll pick between those 3 teams. Manchester City may benefit from Ansu becoming their new player, but they would have to play him up front alongside Erling Haaland, and not on the wing. Bayern opt for a 4-2-3-1, and Fati would instantly become the team's 2nd best player, right after Jamal Musiala. The problem is, after losing the 2 first finals of the save, they keep getting knocked out in the round of 16. Arsenal are using the preferred 4-3-3, but with Saka and Martinelli on the wings. If anything, Fati would again have to be a striker. Arsenal lost twice to Manchester City in the recent years, and to PSG in the last season, so I think they're not the best place for Fati to go to. With Bayern also not giving much of a chance to win the trophy, I think it's time to make a decision. The decision to create a Haaland-Fati duo in Manchester City. Fati is one of the team's best players from the get-go, and that should be enough for the citizens to go and win the Premier League, as well as challenge for the Champions League. Win one of the 2, and Ansu will get 5 bonus attribute points. In the Premier League, Ansu Fati is at least able to fight for the title, but Man City still lost to Arsenal by a single point. He is also a regular starter for the citizens, and is mainly deployed as a striker. From that role, he scored 10 goals and got 12 assists, which is, I'd say, a subpar performance, but at least we can count on his teammates. In the Champions League though, Manchester City qualified to the round of 16. There, they got revenge on Arsenal for the Premier League campaign and proceeded to absolutely demolish Stade Rennes 11-4 on aggregate. The semi-finals saw a 4-0 thrashing of Tottenham in the second leg, and Ansu Fati getting injured in the 95th minute of the first leg. Thankfully, it wasn't anything heavy, and our starman recovered for the Champions League final. The opponents? The arch nemesis of the first half of this video, Real Madrid, who naturally dominated La Liga. We might have just saved Ansu's career for good. As long as the citizens win the Champions League and Ansu will feature on the pitch, we have completed the goal of this video. Vincent Kompany, Manchester City's manager, switched to a 4-2-3-1, and at the Olympic Stadium in Baku, Azerbaijan, he deployed our number 10 on the left wing. Is this the match we were all waiting for? Camavinga finds Mbappe on the left wing, and it's not a good start for our team, but looks like it goes to VAR, and it's being called offside, and Lewis, I believe, has tried to get rid of that ball. Vinicius Jr., though, has been fouled by Ruben Dias. It's going to be a penalty for Real Madrid. Now it's Kylian Mbappe. Mbappe with strike, and his shot was just a bit too powerful for the keeper. Finally, we can see him in possession. Someone found Erling Haaland on a 1v1, but he's been stopped. Corner. Xavi Simons found his way to Real Madrid, by the way. And Dejan Kulusevski potentially ends Ansu Fati's dream of winning the UEFA Champions League this season. Finds Rodrigo, no, but he gets the ball back. Mbappe! And that's the third, that's the second for Kylian. Ansu Fati could not win the league with Barcelona because Real Madrid was so dominant. Now when he got the single chance to win the UEFA Champions League in Manchester City in the very first season, Real Madrid show up to a final just to destroy those hopes and dreams. All I've got to say though is that we're staying in Manchester and we're not moving Ansu Fati anywhere. To give Ansu another attribute boost, the goal this season is to again win the Premier League or the Champions League. But he will not get it. Manchester City will not even qualify for next season's Champions League. They finished 5th in the league. At least, Ansu started scoring a bit more goals, but it wasn't enough in the Champions League as well. Manchester City got knocked out in the league stage. But I'm even more surprised by Tirana from Albania even making it to the main phase, or Copenhagen and Galatasaray both making it to the round of 16. The decision to move Ansu to Manchester was still a good one, and I think it's only the right choice to stay here. Especially considering the fact his asking price is 293 million and only Real Madrid can afford it. I won't do it to any Barcelona fans in this video. The year is 2032 and it's time for the Euros, but for some reason, Ansu is not playing for Spain at all. For those wondering, Spain got knocked out by Norway in the round of 16. So the Premier League season has just ended and I cannot find Manchester City in the table. They're not in the Champions League stalls. And when I look at the Europa League places, I can't find them either. Wait, they finished 7th? Yes, the citizens will play in the Conference League next season. Good news though, thanks to England having the highest coefficient ranking of all nations last season, they got the 5th Champions League slot, and it helped Manchester City qualify for the back doors. And to make this season even more of a clown show, they won the league stage. But don't let that deceive you. Man City was of course eliminated by AC Milan in the quarterfinals. Ansu Fati was no good either. He scored a total of 10 goals, but at least got 7 assists. 5 of them in the Champions League. We should actively try to escape the failing side now, but we would need to set a brand new transfer record. So, we're going to wait with our decision until the FIFA Club World Cup rounds up, because Manchester City are going to play there, and they lost to RB Leipzig in the second round. Real Madrid have over $500 million of a transfer budget, but we obviously won't move Ansu there. RB Leipzig has over $200 million of a budget, but it's not enough. So the only option is to stay in Manchester, while keeping our eyes open for any potential moves. I have to change the goal now though. If Ansu can get as little as 15 goal contributions over the season, he will get the 5 bonus attribute points. And Ansu delivered. Of course he's injured, but that didn't stop him from scoring 13 goals and getting 11 assists. That's the total of 24 goal contributions, which is more than 15. So, Ansu gets the 2 points bonus to acceleration and pace, and 1 point to dribbling. That's because he's already past the age of 30, and his physical attributes are about to decline, and that helps Ansu exceed his potential ability. He's now rated at 183, and originally he could only reach 180. This makes him the 11th best player in the world. In the league, Manchester City stepped up and finished 5th, but they still qualified to the Champions League. That's because they won the Europa League after defeating Bayer Leverkusen 3-0. Looks like the new manager, Luis Enrique, has already started fixing the team. And with the asking price of 350 million, I think it's time to give them time to prepare, train, and maybe finally win something even bigger. The target for Ansu now though is just 20 goal contributions. Ansu was nowhere near reaching the target, with just 14 goal contributions. With no Ansu's goals in the Champions League, Manchester City could only go to the quarter-final. But there is something else that happened. Manchester City was leading the league mid-season, and despite the fact Manchester United overtook them later on, with one game to go, the gap between these two teams is just a single point, which means it's a title decider. Ansu's team must win to have a chance for glory. The citizens take on Wolverhampton, while Manchester United are up against Leicester. Ansu Fati started as a second striker, but we learned that in the King Power Stadium, Manchester United instantly took the lead. Now it's time for the good news though. Ansu also scored against Wolves 5 minutes in. Worse news, his teammate Jeremy Pino missed a penalty, but he scored minutes later because he was assisted by Ansu Fati. This was not enough, until a new John Stevens equalized for Leicester, which meant, right now, Man City was winning the league. 91 minutes in, Ansu Fati scored a goal, but it was disallowed. But that didn't matter. In Leicester, Kai Rooney scored for Manchester United, taking the title to Old Trafford. Next season, to give our client the 5-point attribute boost, the target is again to get 20 goal contributions. But will he do it with the citizens? The only clubs that can afford Ansu's eye-watering €350 million transfer fee now are Manchester United, Borussia Dortmund and Real Madrid. But let's be real, on your screen right now is the entire list of clubs that would pay €350 million for a 32-year-old, excluding Saudi League clubs that is. I guess the best course of action is to stay for one more year and wait for Ansu's price to drop, especially after quite a successful season, at least compared to the recent years. There's also a board takeover going on in the club, which could start a new, successful era for Manchester City. The new era starts with a third place in the league, and with Middlesbrough getting Champions League football. Speaking of which, Manchester City got knocked out on penalties by Borussia Dortmund in the semi-final. Ansu Fati is no longer a starter from Manchester City as well, with just 5 starts in the Premier League. So of course, he did not come close to 20 goal contributions. Being 33 years old, Ansu is way past his prime now. He's only rated at the 166. Any season now can be that one last push for the Champions League title. So, should we move Ansu to Dortmund? I mean, they would have to break the transfer record to make the move, but they can also afford him. But suddenly, brilliant news came around. Ansu's asking price changed to just €78 million, and Borussia Dortmund is now at its golden age. They won the Champions League in 2034 and got to a final in the most recent season. They also don't leave Bundesliga's top 2, which creates a good chance to win trophies. Dortmund's young winger Javi Arribas is still developing, and maybe he needs Fati's experience to become better himself and lift his own first Champions League trophy. Ansu, I think I found your next club. Welcome to Borussia Dortmund. And if you want an attribute boost in the first season in Germany, please win a major trophy. The DFB Pokal counts too. Borussia Dortmund lost the DFB Pokal final on penalties, but Ansu will still get an attribute boost. That's because we finally made it. We made Ansu Fati win the league, and it turns out to be the Bundesliga. Ansu also had a solid individual season with 12 goals and 11 assists. If only Borussia could go further than the knockout playoff in the Champions League. Even Middlesbrough went to the round of 16. Regardless, we're making Ansu fast again, with 3 points to acceleration and 2 points to pace. To get another bonus, I want him to get 15 goal contributions. Ansu is now approaching the end of his career, and a stint with Borussia Dortmund may be his last chance to complete the goal of this video. The next season may as well be a now or never. It's probably never. Borussia Dortmund lost the title to Bayer Leverkusen, but that's understandable. The Leverkusen outfit became invincible. What's worse though, is that Borussia Dortmund lost in the Champions League in the round of 16, on penalties, against Tottenham. But Ansu himself at least had a good season, as he got 20 goal contributions. That's why he's getting 3 points to stamina, 1 to dribbling, and 1 to acceleration. We'll keep 15 goals and assists as Ansu's target for the next season. But now, any year could be Ansu's last on a football pitch. Ansu Fati is no longer a regular starter for Borussia Dortmund, as Pierre-Olivier van de Waal took his spot on the left wing. That's because Ansu spent a large part of the season on the sidelines, thanks to injuries. Ansu still found a way to score 5 goals and get 3 assists, and it definitely helped Borussia finish second in the league. But in the Champions League, well, let's just not talk about it. But there won't be another chance to win it. Ansu Fati decided it's the right time to retire. We made Ansu Fati a world-class player, and across this video, he scored 177 goals and got 104 assists. From this perspective, he's been fairly successful. But we failed in our main mission. Ansu did not win the Champions League, and what's worse, his trophy cabinet is one league title, the Bundesliga, a Europa League, a Carabao Cup, 2 Copa del Reys, 2 Super Cups, German and Spanish, and the UEFA Super Cup. Much less than we hoped for. Ansu was also nowhere near winning the Ballon d'Or, but seeing he was in top 15 of the world in terms of the current ability at some point, he definitely got shortlisted a number of times. Unfortunately, the game only shows the top 3, so Ansu wasn't as successful as we wanted. But there is something completely unrelated that is just bizarre. Borussia Dortmund, right now, have over 800 million of a transfer budget. It's just insane. I hope you enjoyed this video. If that's the case, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I will be very grateful for that. I restarted a couple of careers on this channel. One of them is a career restart of a World Cup winner, Lukas Podolski. Lukas is now approaching the end of his career in Górnik Zabrze in Poland, but what if he could get a go again? To find out, click on the video that's on your screen right now.